I believe you like statistics. Okay. And so this quiz will be on consumer theory. That's chapter 6. Okay. And we talk about chapter 7. And today we're going to continue talk about chapter 8. And also on Wednesday we're going to continue talk about chapter 8. So, and this quiz will be on 6, 7, 8. Okay. So I just announced that we're going to have a quiz on Friday. And the quiz covers chapter 6, 7, 8. Okay. I will not be here, so and remember the last person who proctored the first quiz, and she's going to be here and proctor the second quiz. Okay.
The lecture from Friday posted up.
Yeah, I believe so. Usually they post it the same day. Okay.
So that's what she said.
Any other question? So make sure you be here, okay, on Friday. And she's going to take the attendance as well. And I believe we're going to have an exam after, I think, chapter 9. Okay, but we will see that. Okay, so let's continue on chapter 8. Okay, so last class, we start talking about these optimal decisions on output. And in order to derive the optimal decision on optimal output, I introduced you a function. It's called cost function. And there, we learned total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. We learned average total cost is equal to total cost divided by total output. Average fixed cost is equal to average total fixed cost divided by Q. And average variable cost is equal to total variable cost divided by. Okay. And the marginal cost is equal to change of total cost divided by the change of the Q. That's also equal to change of total variable cost divided by the change of Q. Okay. So that's what we learned in last class from the cost function. Also, I showed you the graph. Looks like this. This is average total cost. This is average variable cost. This is the marginal cost. This is dollar, and this is. Okay. So that's what we were at. Okay, in the last class. Okay. And then I did mention a few profits, like economic profit and operating profit, and we even mentioned the break-even point, but I'm going to go over those things again, okay? So I think the last time, what I begin with is, let's suppose the price level is right here. And I asked you, okay, is this firm making economic profit? And you use your intuition answer the question, okay? You say this firm is making positive or making negative economic profit if the price is here. Negative, positive.
Positive.
It's negative economic profit, but it will be operating profit. But I'm going to put these two terms here. Okay. let's go over this, all right? So last class, what we did with use of intuition, we just look at the price, see whether it's located. If it's located between this point and this point, that means they're going to make a positive operating profit, but not positive economic profit. Economic profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost, and operating profit is equal to total revenue minus total variable cost. So instead of using intuition today, and we're going to derive it in the graph. Okay, so what we do is this. Okay, and so if we do it derived on the graph, and we have to calculate all these terms on the graph. Okay, let me ask you, what is total revenue equal to? What's the formula for total revenue?
Price times quantity.
P times Q. Okay, do we know the price here? On the graph?
I mean,
On the graph, do we know where the price is at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we know the price. Okay, yeah, I did not give you a number, but you know where the price is located. But do we know the output chosen by this firm?
no, it's position.
We do not know that yet. We don't know that. Actually, that's something the firm need to determine, right? We don't know that yet. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this first. Okay, once we know how to find this, then we go back to talk about this economic profit, operating profit again. Okay. All right. So how do we derive this optimal output? Okay. We're going to use the concept we learned at the very beginning of this class. Okay. Either the first class or the second class, I introduced to you the marginalism. Anyone remember the concept of marginalism? Marginalism.
Comparison between marginal benefits and marginal costs.
That's right. It's comparison between the marginal benefit and the marginal cost. And if a firm or individual or country wants to make the optimal decision, then marginal benefit and marginal cost, what kind of relationship they have to have in order to reach the optimal decision. In order to reach the optimal decision, the marginal benefit of that decision has to be equal to the marginal cost of that decision. And that is universal rule, no matter what kind of decision we're talking about. If there's one rule, one principle you have to remember in this class, actually at the end of this class, we're going to have an evaluation of the concept you learned. No, this is totally something different from the midterm and final exam. I just want to know, okay, how well you have received those economic concepts I have taught you. So one of the things will be on the exam is marginalism. This is the fundamental concept in principle of microeconomics, is that marginal benefit has to be equal to marginal cost in order to reach the optimal decisions, no matter what decision we're talking about, no matter what kind of decision we're talking about. This is the fundamental principle in microeconomics. I hope you all remember this, okay? Marginal benefit has to be equal to marginal cost of a decision in order to reach the optimal decision making, okay? So look at this context here. What kind of decision are we talking about? A firm's decision. A firm decision on the output, right? Okay. If we talk about firm's decision on the output, can you tell me what is the marginal benefit? So the firm determines, should I produce here? Should I produce here? Or should I produce here? Firm trying to decide where to produce to maximize the profit. Okay? And based on the marginalism, it says that marginal benefit of that decision has to equal to the marginal cost. So if you say here, this is optimal Q, then the marginal benefit of that has to be equal to the marginal cost of that. What is the marginal benefit in this context?
Money.
Yes, will be money.
Just additional benefit?
Every time you sell one more unit, you're going to gain some revenue, right? What is that additional revenue? iPhone costs $1,000 each. Every time they sell one more each, one more iPhone, how much additional revenue they receive? $1,000. So what is that?
More
No.
profit?
That's the price. That's the price of that cell phone, right? Okay. So in this context, marginal benefit of a certain Q is just the price of that product. Because we're talking about perfectly competitive market, each firm is a price taker. So every time you sell good, you have to take the price determined by the market, sell the good at that price. So every time you sell one more unit, your additional gain is the price. Okay? So the marginal benefit, we're going to say it's just the marginal revenue. It's just the price. Do we know the price?
Yes.
We know it here. Okay? What about the marginal cost? What about the marginal cost?
Additional cost it takes to make that product?
To make one more unit, right? Okay? Can we find it? Yes, because we have the marginal cost curve. If we know where is the output, and then we can figure out the marginal cost. So marginal cost is right here, and the price is right here. So very good. Okay. So based on this, the optimal output has to be this equals to that. Okay. So if this has to be equal to that, then P has to equal to MC. So this is the profit maximizing rule for finding Q star in a perfect competitive market. In a perfect competitive market, you have to remember it is using the rule of marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. So it is equivalent to that, but since the marginal revenue equal to price, we just simplify to this form. Okay. All right, so we're good. You guys follow me on this? You guys question? You guys have question on this? So I just told you P equal to MC is the profit and maximizing rule, which we use marginalism to derive. Okay? Using marginalism, we can find the output based on this. Okay. Now we have the price here. We have the marginal cost curve. Can you tell me which output level satisfies this condition? Look at the graph here. If you have the price, if you have the marginal cost, can you find the point where marginal cost equal to price? Right? So now we have answered the question we need to answer this. What is the output the firm needs to produce? It's right here. How do we find it? As long as you know the marginal cost curve, as long as you know the market price of this good, and you can find this. Okay. Any question on this? Yeah. All right, so if we know Q star is right here, can you tell me the area represent P multiply Q star? The area represent total revenue.
Yeah.
Where is the P multiply Q? Which area represent the P multiply Q? That would be the total revenue.
Is it that rectangle?
Where is that? Is it right here?
Yeah.
This rectangle, right, is the total revenue because this is P, this distance is value of P, and this distance is value of Q star, and total revenue is this multiplied this. So we know this whole area represent what? Total revenue. So we find total revenue. Here's this. Now we're gonna find total cost and total variable cost. Okay, I'm gonna start with total variable cost. How do we find total variable cost on the graph? Just like what we did for the total revenue.
It's the average variable cost times Q.
Very good. So now we're going to use this formula. AVC multiply Q star, right? Okay, so do we know Q star right now? We know Q star. And do we have AVC curve? Yes, we have AVC curve. So at Q star, what's the value of AVC?
The point where they intersect.
So you draw this up to AVC, then the corresponding value here is AVC at Q star. Okay, so now do you see the area represent total variable cost? Do you see that? The area represents total variable cost. So, question.
There's gonna be numbers in this, right, for the homework and test?
Yeah, it should be. So they will ask you to calculate for the variable cost. All right, if you look like that area, is that smaller than the total revenue?
Yes.
Yes. So if it's smaller than the total revenue, what operating profit is going to be? Positive or negative?
Negative.
No, that one's gonna be positive. But the other
Positive,
one's
right? Total revenue is bigger than the total variable cost. So this one is going to be positive. Okay? You guys with me on this? Okay, now I want you to do the next one. What's next one? The total cost. I want you to derive the total cost just like we did for the total variable cost. Then find the area represent total cost. And tell me whether total revenue is bigger or smaller than the total variable cost. Some of you now taking notes. When you're not taking notes, you're not processing this information. Trust me. You're just looking at it. You're not writing down, you're not processing. The people who writing down at least processed twice more times than you have done. That's why I'm asking even the online course students to take notes. Writing make you think. So that's my opinion. Okay, total cost. Please write down how do you represent total cost? Are you writing down? Are you writing it down? Think. You have the total variable cost here. How do we derive the formula for total variable cost? You think the total cost formula is going to be similar. So if it's going to be similar, what's going to be? ATC multiply Q star, right? It's ATC multiply Q star, right? So writing this down.
ATC or AVC?
Yeah, you guys have the formula.
And where you have operating costs, that is from last TR minus TBC is greater than Q. Is it Q star or just regular
Q and all that stuff.
Oh, greater than 0, my bad, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what like the
So
average.
this is ATC multiply Q star, right?
She's making them
You see that?
to represent the actual.
How about the area? Which area represent this? And where is ATC at Q star?
Total,
So it's
like
Q
the
star
total
up to
cost,
80.
the
So
average
it's
total
bigger
cost
than-
times the Q.
The total revenue.
Wait, so if your total cost is higher than your total revenue.
So now we see the area. that represent the total cost, right? It is bigger or smaller than total revenue.
Bigger.
Why only so few people answer the question? How about the rest of the class? If you don't ask question, don't let it go.
I don't know what kind of question to ask.
You don't know what question to ask, then think about it. Think about it. When you engage your mind, then you can think a question. There's no silly question in this class. The only silly thing to do is not to ask question when you do not know it. Yeah, no silly question. I want you to ask. I don't want you to just sit there, just watch this. Let it go even though you don't understand it. It's not a rocket science, okay?
So would it be, less than zero, greater than zero, or less than zero?
Okay, so the total revenue is this, right?
Yes.
How about total cost based on this?
It's bigger than that.
Is that, right?
OD.
So if we use this area minus this big area, what are we gonna get?
Okay.
We're going to get negative this.
Yeah, but it's negative.
This, adding a negative number, and that's our economic profit. So that's why this is less than zero.
And this situation, right?
So when your average total cost is lower than your price, then you're making profit, right?
That's right, that's right. So basically, you're just comparing these three terms, right? Okay, if the price is bigger than ATC, you're making positive profit. If it's lower, you're making a negative economic profit. Then when you determine the operating profit, you compare price with AVC. So you're basically comparing this with that and that.
So if the price was higher, they'd still be making positive profit.
Yeah, if the price is higher than the ATC, you will be making positive economic profit. Okay, so that's why in the last class, when we discussed, okay, whether economic profit, operating profit is positive or not, we just look at the location of the price, right? We say, okay, if this location of the price is higher than lowest point of this, then eventually this price will be higher than ATC. Okay? So, but, I mean, before I talk about that, just this graph, question on this graph. If there's anything you don't understand, ask me question. There's no silly question. The only thing, silly thing is, you don't ask. You don't ask. Yeah.
So basically, you're saying if the price is higher than the average total cost and average variable cost, then you're making economic and operating profit.
That's right. If the price is high enough, you're going to make the positive profit on both. That makes sense, right? If the market price is really, really high, and there's not so much change in your production capacity or potential, then you're making positive.
And this is just in the short run, right?
That's good. That's right. That's right. We're still in chapter 8. That's short run. In chapter 9, we're going to talk about long run. Other question?
Wait, what? It's about short run.
Yeah, she asked me whether this is still in the short run. Yes, it's still in the short run. This chapter is still short run. The next chapter, we're going to talk about long run this year.
Long run's not gonna be on the quiz, correct?
No. Okay. This is on Friday.
Quiz on Friday.
Yes.
Any questions?
We're gonna do the quiz on for the short run.
Like this graph.
This is all short runs.
Alright. Any other question on this graph? Are you sure you understand this graph? I'm guarantee you this kind of graph will be on the quiz. You'll be given a graph, you'll be given numbers, you'll be asking what is total cost, what is total variable cost, what is total revenue, is this from making positive economic profit or not, is this from making positive operating profit or not?
Okay.
And what is the optimal output? Nothing different from this, but you don't have to understand this.
So we gotta remember all them little formulas.
Understand them, yeah. Then you don't have to remember them, understand them. Okay, average cost is just total divided by output. You think about this makes sense, right? Okay, and then the total cost will be average multiplied by Q. Understand them, make a friend with them, okay?
So, on the quiz for economic and operating profit, do you you just have to do total revenue minus those, and like you'll get your like a number, and then you'll go off that.
So I'm going to give you all the numbers, for example. Okay, so I give you, here's a 20. Of course, I'm going to give you multiple because I'm trying to confuse you, right? Okay, I'm going to give you this is 10. I'm going to give you this is 30, and maybe another. You got to choose which one is optimal output first, right? Okay, and then I'll give you this. Let's say this is 20. This is 30, this is 35, then I give you some other number. You got to pick and choose which one you need to use in order to calculate economic profit or operating profit. So you do need to understand the graph, okay? As long as you understand graph, you know which number to use.
Okay. So,
Good, now you have a question.
yeah. That is the Q asterisk thing.
Q star,
Yeah, that's.
Q star,
that's-
okay, how do I?
Alright, so if the price in that, MC, that's, right there, that's the answer, right?
MC meets P. Find MC and P where they meet.
That's
Then the
optimal.
corresponding, that's the optimal.
That's the
Follow
price.
this formula here.
Wherever the P.
So the first step is use this
On
formula.
cost.
Mhm.
That stuff right there, under the operating profit, all that is operating profit? Like, all
No,
that-
this is operating profit.
There was other stuff.
This is economic profit.
No, not that, the stuff under that.
This is total revenue. How do we calculate the total revenue? This how to calculate total variable cost. This how to calculate total.
Hey, it's
It's
all
how
that
to-
involved with operating profit.
Yeah, you have to calculate total revenue and the total variable cost in order to find total operating profit, right?
Yeah,
There's three terms you need to find: total revenue, total variable cost, and total cost. Once you find these three terms, you're able to find these two profits. Walk through this at home. Walk through this. You can couple times. We have some people very confident, never take notes. A lot. Any other question? I'm glad some of you asked me questions. Very good. Yeah, other question? Is everybody clear on those graphs? Because you're gonna see this on Friday, I guarantee you. And there's no difference from that.
it's all of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask you to do everything, I'm probably just gonna ask you, okay, please find the operating profit. I may not ask you to find the economic profit, but you do not know which one I'm gonna ask, so you have to know both of them.
So like if you were pointing at somebody right there.
Somebody else. Go
So
ahead.
like in this scenario, you would still operate that business even though it's not me.
That's right, okay, so that's the next thing I'm gonna talk about in terms of short run and long run running, okay, but
Okay, so if you ask operating profit, the actual operating profit would be if it's negative or positive.
you just give a negative or positive number.
Okay,
If it's negative, it's negative, it's positive, it's positive.
okay,
That's
and that would
right.
just be the operating. Okay, I got you.
That's right. Okay, so the next question was cost. Okay, after you finding the economic profit, operating profit, I will ask this question here. Are we going to run in long run
Yeah.
or short run? Okay, so that's the next question to ask. Okay, long run, short run. Okay, long run, short run. So how do we determine whether you're going to do the long run? You take a look at the economic profit. If economic profit is positive, that means you cover all the fixed costs, everything, then you're going to run like into the 6 years, 7 years, even 10 years, okay? That's long run. How do we determine whether you're going to run the short run, the first year, second year? You're going to take a look at short operating profit, okay? You guys get it?
So if it's negative,
You,
it could be a
if,
short
You
run.
don't wanna.
Yeah. if it's positive, you're gonna run in the short run. If it's operating profit, yeah. So when you determine the long run, you look at economic profit. When you determine the short run, you look at operating profit. Is this clear? Clear.
So what did she say? She said if it's positive, then
She just asked, if it's a,
Total revenue.
if let's say
Above your
I give you a price level that makes operating profit negative, and do we write down the negative number? Yes, you do. Okay, so if it's negative profit, then you write down it's negative
if
profit.
it's negative, then you don't run insurance.
That's right.
Wait, if it's negative, it's not sure.
Yeah, if operating profit is negative, then you're not gonna run in the short run.
Or the long run.
Or the long run, that's true.
Because you're losing money to just operate. Short run.
Alright, so in this example, I only give you the scenario that price is right here. Okay? In the exam, I may give you prices right here. All the prices right here. Okay? Do you know what I'm saying?
You said something about prices.
The price may be located differently. Maybe higher or lower.
That's fine.
Can you explain, at our last class you put that, P0 equals operating profit greater than 0 run and short run? Remember?
So let me write down this like a framework.
It's that right there, but basically you gave 3 different prices.
Yeah, I gave 3 different prices. I'm going to give another price right now.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is doing this. P is right there.
Is P meeting with ABC and marginal cost? Is it running through where they meet?
That means you're getting back what you're putting
I'm
out.
asking, is the price meeting where,
The
marginal?
lowest point of ABC right now.
So it's actually on ABC?
The lowest point of
Okay.
ABC. Alright, so what would be the first question I ask you? Or the first thing you need to answer in this graph?
The Q star.
Very good. Great. You see, asking question make you understand better. Q star. How do we find Q star here?
That's where the marginal cost, that's where marginal cost meets their price.
Where is that?
Right there.
I'm gonna ask
Lowest
some
point.
here. I'm not gonna ask John. I know John does not want me to ask him. How about you? Where is that Q star?
Say Q star, it would meet with the ATC and go straight down in the middle.
So what's the formula to use? What's the formula to use? How do we find Q star?
P equals MC.
Where's the P? Where's the MC?
Yes.
Where do they meet?
Right there.
Right there.
Where's the total revenue? Total revenue. Somebody here. How about you?
Total revenue.
Which area represents total revenue? What's the formula for total revenue?
P times Q star.
Okay, do we know Q star?
Yeah.
Do we know where's the P?
Mm-hmm.
Which area represents P multiply Q star? This is the P.
Square.
This is Q star.
Right there.
Right there. Total revenue is right here, right? Okay, good. So you find the total revenue. Okay. Somebody else tell me where is the total variable cost? How do we find the total variable cost? And the formula we're gonna use, AVC multiply Q, right? Okay, where is AVC at Q star?
I mean,
Where's AVC? Where's AVC multiply Q star? Where's AVC at Q star?
Right there. Like
Right
the
there.
first point.
Huh?
The first point.
First one.
right?
Where?
Like, yeah.
Here?
No. No.
Where is AVC curve?
Right. Like the first point.
It's
Yeah,
this.
right.
This is the AVC curve, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the AVC curve. At Q star. Where is it?
It's right there. Like where your marker is right there. Just don't move it. Yeah.
What's the value of AVC at Q star?
0.
The price.
Oh, it's at the
Is
price,
zero?
yeah.
It's at 0, right?
It's the price of
What is AVC's value at Q star?
We don't know.
This is the point. This is the point,
Over.
right? How do you find the value on the graph? You draw this horizontal line to the vertical axis.
Yeah,
So that's the average
This
variable
is
cost.
AVC value at Q star.
Okay.
Okay?
That's what I said.
That's why just look at this. Q star go to the AVC horizontal value. That's how you find those AVC, ATC value. Right?
Is that how you get the TVC?
So what is AVC value here? It's different from P star.
No.
It's just the P, right?
So it's equal to P.
So what is the total variable cost then? P star.
Total.
No, it's
It's just this square, right?
Yes. That's what we said.
Because AVC multiply Q star, that's total variable cost, it's just the square. Okay. If the total revenue and the total variable cost is exactly the same, what does it mean?
They're getting back what they're putting out, right?
Look at those terms. When total revenue equal to total variable cost, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Total variable cost equal to total revenue, which profit is equal to 0?
Operating.
Operating profit is equal to 0. Okay? Operating profit is equal to 0.
so it's
All right, so
operating, right?
so when these two are equal,
Okay, I got you.
So in TRE.
operating profit equal to 0.
Yeah.
All right, so can somebody do the total cost? Make my life easier. Don't have to kind of
Total
dig to get this thing out of you. Total cost. How do we find total cost?
ATC times Q.
ATC. Where's the ATC? I'm gonna ask somebody here.
It's a top. It's the curve.
How are you? Didn't see.
Okay.
Top curve. Then what? Top curve is whole thing. You just use whole top curve.
At the
Half the top curve.
Half the top of what?
You draw the horizontal.
Of course.
Where it meets.
Where what mean?
I mean, I did watch them.
Q star. Do you see that Q star?
Yeah, I see it.
Draw the Q star straight up
straight.
to the ATC.
It's
don't you
in
go
the
ahead, do
area
it.
from the ABC
Try.
to the ATC.
Do it in your paper. Okay? The reason I'm doing that is I don't want to see the low grade anymore. Okay?
So
We draw the Q star straight up ATC, right?
total cost.
This is your ATC at Q star. Did everyone of you see it? Yes? Okay. Everybody see that? That's ATC, okay?
Okay.
At Q star. At that ATC, what is total cost area? What is total cost area? The bigger,
Bigger area.
Down.
with the bigger triangle, rectangle, the bigger rectangle, okay? Okay, so if this is a total cost, this is total revenue, what happens to our economic profit? It's negative, right? It's negative what? It's negative this area. So economic profit, we know in this one, it's negative. What about operating profit?
Zero.
It's
Zero.
equal to 0. Okay, so how are you going to answer the question about the long run and the short run? Are you going to run in the long run?
No. Shit.
No, in the long run.
Yeah, but it's wrong.
Okay, how about in the short run?
Yeah.
How about in the short run? This time I'm going to answer. I have to come back to it, right? What's going to happen? How about in the short run? Listen. Okay, I don't have to work this hard to go to one entity to do this. I don't have to. Okay, most of the teachers will not do this. Why I'm doing this? Because if I do this, your grade may be 2 points higher, maybe 3 points higher. Please appreciate this. It's not picking on any one of you. It's trying to make it go higher. I don't gain more money by having a high grade first. No, you still have the same salary. You know, it's not affecting me. But if you keep getting, C, and it's really going to lower every GPA.
How did you get economic profit?
Do we what?
How did you get economic profit?
Economic profit is total revenue minus total cost. Right? Where's total revenue?
The bottom square.
Bottom square. Where's total cost? The bigger square,
Yeah.
right?
Well, is it both of them combined?
No, it's one minus the other. One minus the other. So it's this small one minus the bigger one. If the small one minus the bigger one, what you can get?
A negative.
A negative is negative the above square. Negative above square. Okay. So how about the operating profit?
So it's opposite.
Okay. Never mind. Don't do it.
So it's this, but it's negative. The economic profit is negative, right?
It's negative, but it's above the average. Variable
Yeah,
cost.
yeah. It is negative because this is above the P star. That's true,
Okay, so it's
right?
above P star.
Yeah, but she was asking you, okay, then how do we represent this negative profit? Negative profit is this area, negative value of this area. So if I give you this is 10, this is the 5, this is 2, then I'm asking you to find economic profit, what would be? Negative 10, right?
Or 5
So this is 5 multiplied 2 is 10, right? So it's negative 10. Oh, you don't have to borrow this. You just follow this formula. Just write down these 3 values and just subtract yourself later. Okay, so operating profit equal to 0. What are we going to do? We're going to run or we're not run? We're indifferent.
Because if it's lower, you don't run it. So it's higher, so what do we do?
Not running. And running. So we have a name for this price level. There's a name for this price level called the shutdown point. So this one I want you to remember because I will ask you what the meaning of shutdown point. The shutdown point means the price level that anytime it's lower than that, you're not going to run at all. You're going to just close down this business. So this is called the shutdown point.
Which point is that?
This is the price level. Every time you see the price is anywhere below that, you're going to shut down this business.
So it can
So
either be
this is
equal
a
to or below?
Yes. So that's why we call the shutdown price, shutdown point.
So that's equal to or below that.
Okay, any question on this? We're going to change the price now.
Equal to.
We're going to change the price again.
Lower than already shipped.
Any question there? So now we're going to change the price again. This time, I'm going to ask you to do everything yourself. This time, I'm telling you the price is right here. And you calculate everything, tell me what's happening right now in the short run and the long run. Okay, and then later on, I'm going to give you another name for that price level. So this time, it's not at the lowest of the ABC, it is at the lowest of the ATC. What's the first question to answer? Q star. Now you are getting familiar. So where is the Q star first? Where's the Q star?
P equals MC.
Q star. Sorry, it comes to ET. Follow that formula, P equal to MC, right? Do we know P? Okay. MC, right? Okay, so where's the Q star? This is the P, this is the MC. This is the point where they meet, right? Q star right here. So once you find Q star, you can find total revenue, total variable cost, and total cost. All of this.
Total variable cost. Total variable ABC times Q.
I may cover this last class. I may have. So where is the total revenue? Which area represents total revenue? Is this big type rectangle? Okay, it's this big one. Let's just mark it. Okay, so if this is total revenue, I want you to find the total cost this time. Total cost. Where's the total cost? You sure? Absolutely? Yes. 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 Okay. It is the same area as the total revenue, right? It's the same area as total revenue because when you draw the Q star up to where? ATC, and this is the ATC.
So TR is
Facts.
I don't know if this is.
So TR equal to TC. So what is economic profit then?
I had it to you.
Here.
If it's economic profit equal to 0, what about the long run? Are we going to run in the long run?
Well, yeah, because you're still making an option.
No, you only run the short run.
You're indifferent.
You're indifferent. You're indifferent. Good. Good answer. You're indifferent. So we give a name to this price level. We call it what? Somebody's phone?
Shut up, shut down.
What is this one? Somebody told me this name last class.
Break even point?
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was thinking earlier.
Okay. So whenever the economic profit equal to 0, and that is break-even. That's break-even price.
Okay, so that means that an operating point is equal to 0, then we shut down.
Yeah, when operating profit is zero, that's shut down.
But if the,
Economic profit is zero, that's break even. Yeah. Okay, so now we know economic profit, now we have to find operating profit in this case. Where is the TVC? How do we find the TVC? Now you know how to find it. You want to
Yeah.
come here?
Yeah, sure.
Why not? Okay, so we know Q star, we have the curve ABC, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Very good, go ahead, draw the, let's make it a little bit prettier. Okay, let's make it prettier. Okay, so I'm going to connect this with you, sorry. Okay, so go ahead, draw this straight up to the ABC, right?
So it would be
Okay.
ABC.
Okay, that's where they meet, then you draw the horizontal line.
And that's
Good.
Big trash mark.
That's good. So this is A, go ahead, write down ABC. Yeah, ABC. Huh? ABC, let me write. Okay, so this is the ABC value, right? Then, okay, then here, which area represents TVC? Very good. Okay, so thank you. Very good, so you got it. So this area represents the TVC, then do we make positive operating profit?
yes.
Yes, which area is operating profit? The rest of them. The rest of it, right? So the operating profit is greater than zero. So how about the short run? Do we run the short run?
Yes.
Alright, so are you guys ready for this kind of question? They different. They can run or not run. They are
There was so many things that I was getting confused. Now,
I'm going to post the homework.
now it's
That's
gonna
what
be
I'm
like.
saying. It's easy as fuck.
Probably sometimes you say
How do you question?
Are you talking about questions for those type of crafts?
Yeah.
I got another class.
Just a minute.
I got another class called campus.
I don't think he has them.